Solving a word problem involving geometry using a system of nonlinear equations. The perimeter of a rectangle is 16 and 8/10 kilometers and its area is 14 and 3/100 square kilometers. Find its length and width. Let's just draw a hypothetical picture of a rectangle. So we'll say the width is at the bottom. We don't know what it is. Let's just call it W. The length is the other side. So this is the length, and we don't know what that is, so we just call it L. All our units are in kilometers. And we do know that the perimeter formula is this. P is equal to twice the length plus twice the width. Right? The perimeter is 2 lengths plus 2 widths. And we also know that 16.8 is equal to 2L plus 2W. We also know that the area of a rectangle is length times width. But we're also given the area. It's 14.03 is equal to length times width. Now you gotta pick on a letter here. I'm actually gonna pick on solving for L. That is, we're gonna write W is not 0. We don't want the width of the rectangle to be 0 kilometers. If that was the case, we would have a bogus rectangle. None of this would make sense. So since the width is not 0, we could divide the entire sides by W. You do need to write this down. Make sure you write why you're dividing by a variable. You have to state that that variable can never ever be 0. Now we have L is equal to 14.03 over W. We're going to call this equation 1 and call this equation 2. And we're going to use a substitution method where we're simply going to sub equation 2 into 1 and see what happens. So whenever you see an L, we're going to put parentheses. We're going to write 16.8 equals 2 times L, but instead of L, we're going to write parentheses 14.03 over W plus 2 times W. Now we want to clear fractions. So in order to clear fractions, we're going to multiply the entire sides by W. So now we have 16.8 times W is equal to 28.06 and then plus 2W squared. And not a problem, this is a classic quadratic equation that we could set equal to 0. 2W squared minus 16.8W plus 28.06 is now equal to 0. Now because we have decimals, don't even bother to factor this. Instead, we're going to use the what? Quadratic formula. Negative b plus or minus the square root of the quantity b squared minus 4 times the quantity a times the quantity c all over 2 times a. And we're simply going to substitute for w. Let's see. W is equal to the opposite of b, which is 16.8, plus or minus the quantity b. Quantity b here is parentheses, negative 16.8 square, quantity squared, minus 4 times a. What was a? 2. And what was c? C was 28.06 all over 2 times a, which is 2 times 2. Go ahead and have your handy dandy calculator out, and we are simply going to write an equation for w. We do have 16.8 here, plus or minus. Let's figure out what's underneath this radical symbol here. So go ahead and type some things in your calculator. and we simply get 57.76 all over 4. Let's take the square root of that 57.76 and see what happens. That becomes 7.6. So we have two equations now. W is equal to, we have 0.4, 4, and then a 2, right? That's one of your W's. Let me double check with a calculator here since I have it handy. Yes, that's correct. Divided by 4, excuse me. Or we have what? 9.2? Yeah, 9.2 divided by 4. So far we have W is equal to 6.1 kilometers, or W is equal to 2.3 kilometers. Now, each of these W's can't happen both at the same time. So let's just pick on one of these. Let's pick on the first W. What happens when W is equal to 6.1? So when W equals 6.1, let's find L. How do we find L? We'll go back to the equation 2, where L is equal to what? L is equal to 14.03 divided by 6.1. Let's see what L is now. We get 2.3. And that is not a coincidence. This is what math will do to you. It will surprise you, but at the same time, it gives you some intuition on what's really going on. So, do we really need to write this one? And I think the answer, well, I think you know the answer. And the answer is we don't need to write that second with. The first with is enough. So, according to our picture, we really have it the other way. So imagine if you rotated this rectangle where the long side is now the width and the up and down side is now the length. So that's kind of what's going on when I'm checking this. Find the length, find its length and the width. The width is 6.1 kilometers and the length is 2.3 kilometers. And it really doesn't matter which one you call the width or which one you call the length, because you could simply rotate the rectangle 90 degrees to your right or left and you'll get the same set of numbers. Circle our final answer, but more importantly, make sure you could replicate the work. Replicate the evidence and all those math ideas that you've been studying for years and years and years and years.